Plan Implementation Committee, regular meeting to order. It's Wednesday, June 5th, 2024. Public comment. I don't see anyone in the public. Moving on to item 3, Affordable Housing Update, Affordable Housing Committee.
Okay, we've had 2 meetings. First meeting was introductory meeting. The second meeting we had the bylaws and election of officers. Venan Gala is the chairman. Charlie Wisnowski is the vice chairman, and Alan Smith is the secretary. At that second meeting, which was May 2nd, what they did was they reviewed the affordable housing plan and actually had each member assign a task. So for example, Charlie Wisnowski is looking at the inventory of affordable housing and the affordable housing appeals lists as far as what in the town of Rocky Hill actually counts as affordable housing.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's asking questions on, well, does the VA domiciles, does that count as affordable housing? What about, for example, Elms Commons, which was built with CHFA money, and I guess it was for a certain period of time, it was affordable, or whatever. So he's really digging into the weeds
That's
on
good,
some
yep.
of this stuff. So
Mhm.
he's working on that. And as people get information back, they're emailing it to me so I can disseminate it to the board, that committee. Alan Smith is
Maybe on that affordable, when Charlie's doing his
Yep.
research, maybe he can look in and say, based on the new calculations and all that, based on new legislation, right, a couple of years ago, the 10% calculation,
yeah.
where do we stand with that? And, maybe follow up with housing and see if,
Okay, well, there's something I need to talk about
Okay.
later on as
Okay.
far as the Council of Small Cities and Small Towns with some of the legislation. I
Mhm.
had sat on a webinar for that,
Okay,
and
yep.
that whole appeals list came up.
Yep.
So the state's gonna revisit that.
okay.
So, but Charlie was referred to someone at DOH,
Okay,
Mike Santoro.
yep, yep.
So I said,
Okay.
I know,
Yep.
because I think you referred me to
Yeah.
him years ago,
Yeah.
so,
Mike is good. He's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, Alan Smith is working with CHFA. Alan Smith happens to be a real estate agent, so he deals with them on a regular basis.
Mhm.
But, what we're looking to do is have them attend a council meeting to talk about the types of housing we have here that are classified as affordable.
Yep.
And then actually we want to do a public forum on CHFA and the programs they have.
Yeah.
So we wanted to do a public forum, whether it be at the library or at the community center. So that's one of the things that they're going to be working
Yep.
on too.
Yeah, I think those are important for the general public, especially elderly and, for qualifications and stuff.
Yeah, and they're a local, they're here
Yeah,
in
they're
town,
Rocky Hill,
so.
yeah.
We have a individual that resides at the Rocky Hill Housing Authority property that's on there. And, she's been tasked with the status of the units and possible future plans that they have, because they have received some state money to, modify some of the units to create more accessible units.
Yep.
Plus
They
they
said that
have,
last time when they were here,
Yeah.
last time they said they were doing it.
plus they also have a fairly substantial grant, but it's more for planning purposes. They have extra property, what can they do to possibly expand? And I sat and talked to Susan Moore, the executive director, and I said, ideally, it would be great if we could take and relocate people in one of the 2 developments, put up a multi-story structure with, handicap accessible and elevators.
When you're renovating, go up.
And then,
While you're
yeah,
renovating, the
yeah.
unit
Demo
go
and
up.
then go up.
And then have them relocate back into that building
And then
and
do the second.
relocate the second development into that building and then build a mirror image in the other property.
Does it work like, I'm not sure how it works though, but do they have to relocate, or is the relocation temporary, or is the relocation permanent? Like, can they just say, are you assigned
Yeah,
to
it will be
use it, or
temporary.
is there a
It will be
right?
Temporary
relocation.
relocate, because
There's
there's
a
a
lease,
waiting list.
so there's a lease and everything involved with,
Right. Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
asking for education
Yeah, so it would be a
purposes.
temporary
It
relocation.
will be
Okay.
temporary
Yeah.
and.
But ideally, that's what would be great if that could happen.
Mhm.
She
Yeah.
likes that idea too, but
Absolutely, so the
they
only
need
way that
to-
we can gain is to modify the, go up,
Go up, yeah.
expand.
They need to investigate funding sources or whatever, so we're going to be bringing them into the Affordable Housing Committee to talk about
Mhm.
that sort of thing, so. And then we have another individual that is looking at researching the municipal affordable housing funds.
Mhm.
We came across probably a handful of towns that have these funds created by ordinance, so she's reaching out to each of those communities as far as who spearheaded that, what are the funding sources, what's their status now, are they in the infancy stage, are they further along, what is the money used for?
Yep.
So she's researching that. And then we have another individual who has asked to reach out to planning and zoning about activities. I sat there and basically said, well, I'm kind of that person that I can be the
Yep.
interface, but this person chooses to do that, so I don't know if anybody reached out to,
No.
but I will pass that on tomorrow evening.
Yeah.
As far as what planning and zoning is doing in their regulations to further affordable housing,
Yep.
like the reduction of parking, like accessory dwelling units, because they talked about that as well,
Yep.
so.
Yeah, so I think you can give an update on what we
Yeah.
have done in last couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
We have done a lot.
Yes, yeah, so, so they're gonna report back on what their initial tasks were, and then we're going to go on to the next step.
Yep.
So I think we're gonna get ready to, set a meeting with CHFA and the council. I'm waiting to hear back from Ray as to which meeting he wants that on.
How about DOH as well, while they both are there?
Well, that I think, they wanna keep their presentations simple.
Okay.
But I think the public forum, I definitely want
Yep.
DOH there. I definitely want
Because
DOH.
both have different type of funding,
Yes.
different mandate and all
But
that.
I
so,
definitely
yeah.
want that there, I'd like to open it up to people beyond,
Yep.
beyond Rocky Hill, but concentrate on Rocky Hill, but it
Yep.
really would be great, affordable housing or housing opportunities.
Yep.
Affect everybody, so
Yep.
I'd like to open that up. So that's where we're at for that committee.
No, that's
And they
a
seem
great
very-
start. That's a
They
great
seem
start.
very gung
Yep.
ho, and I think it's a good thing so far,
So did they set up a schedule or anything
They
like
have
that?
they have their meeting schedule, and they're doing, by ordinance, it's every other month, but they're choosing to meet every month, on the first Thursday of the month,
Yep.
so.
And how about the schedule for this assignment that they're working on?
No, this
Nothing,
is
okay.
gone zero, so we'll get to that probably tomorrow evening.
This is where they meet here?
They're gonna meet in here. Yeah, last time we met down in the community center, because there was some
Budget
of the
time.
meeting,
Yep.
yeah, some of the meeting going on, so.
Okay, that was a good update. Item 4, complete streets policy and update.
Okay, complete streets. I met with, Steve Sopelak, Dave Pomberg, Ray Carpentino, and Ben Winter, and Jolene Tini, our highway person, arrived late. But we talked about what's needed now. And typically what happens is engineering and public works get together and they decide before the budget year comes up, before they put together their budget, which is towards the end of the calendar year.
Yep.
So December, January, February, they're putting together the budget. They decide what streets are on the program next, based upon what our consultant does and ranks and rates the roads. So they've done that for this year. So I said, okay, next year, I'm in the process. And I said, and we're going to have a process where we sit down and we're going to have a checklist. And it's going to be sidewalks, it's going to be ADA ramps, it's going to be, can we get a bench here? And if so, what are the legal ramifications, you know, liability, we have to have that looked at
Yep.
by town legal counsel. You know, because, okay, I'm supposed to, I as a property owner, I'm supposed to maintain to the curb, but if there's a bench there now, who's maintaining that bench? And who's mowing around that bench or weed whacking around that bench? And what happens if somebody falls?
Yep.
It's in the right of way, so we have to take a look at that. And there's probably funding sources for benches, cause it
Yep.
doesn't cost that much, or get sponsorships.
Why do we have to wait? Why can't you retro, go back and look at what he did and say, okay, how can we apply?
Well, hang on.
I know you want to be part of the process going in
Yeah.
when it starts, but can we retroactively go back and,
Well, they have the streets for this year, and I have that on the list.
okay.
And I have interjected myself with respect to Century Hills Drive,
Mhm.
because
Is
I
that,
said,
is that on the
because
list?
that's on the list for, that's been on the list for sidewalks.
Mhm.
So I said, okay, you know how many walkers are out there? I said, wouldn't it be nice if we had, okay, you have how many linear feet of roadway? Can't we have a bench, say 3 benches throughout
Mhm.
that thing as an area of refuge? Can't we do that? So they're looking at that. So it's not a formal thing, but
Is this where they decide whether to top coat the street or to actually pave the street? This is where, is this the meeting where they decide
No, I think
to put the rumble coating on, or they put the real coat?
okay,
the
well,
real-
that's not
That's
something, that's
different.
not
That's
part of
like
complete streets.
I know, no, I'm just,
That's-
I'm.
But that's what they're going to
Yeah, okay.
decide, that's what they're
That's
going to
what they-
decide.
The
We're
rumble
also gonna
roads.
decide, and I said, we need to get PD involved, you know, as we go forward, because, okay, you're picking XYZ streets, is there a speeding problem? Is there something we can do, maybe with
Yeah.
painted curbs or
Speed humps
something?
or whatever, yeah.
Something, that's part of complete streets. And then, I know we're gonna get, pushback from Public Works, cause plowing is not convenient for plowing. And I basically stated on the record in front of the manager, that may be just too bad. And I said, and if I overstep myself, you know, my bounds, let me know, but it was met with positivity, so that was.
I mean, how do other towns?
As far as
deal with it?
management
The
goes.
Other towns have.
No,
it.
other
They
towns
deal with it.
have it. I mean, we
Yeah.
talked about like a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
going to Yukon, there is one street
Oh,
that
that-
people use it.
Well, that's the drag strip, that's the
Right?
shortcut,
You know,
yeah.
boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, but
They're
you,
like
but
10 of
well,
them.
like in Springfield, what they did was, they had speed tables.
Yep.
By International College or whatever on Wilbraham Road. And what they did was they took those out and they basically bumped the curbs in, so created a crosswalk there.
Mhm.
And so that's automatically slowed people down.
Yep.
So, and we may or may not have these areas in town, but if we do, let's.
Explore the
wow,
options and all that,
That's,
yeah.
That's
yeah,
what, how often you do it.
it's worth doing it. So, we're going to interject ourselves into that process.
And we already have.
It's gonna be a process and we're doing a checklist, and every project needs to be looked at that way.
Yeah. And we have our policy, so we right,
Oh, yeah,
we
yeah.
adopted
and
complete streets.
that's been done, so, the draft I'm working on, I have to give to Steve first, and then it goes to Ray, and then we just do it, and that's gonna happen.
Are sidewalks part of the same plan for paving, or they're two separate plans?
As for complete streets, sidewalks part of it.
No, but for example, you said they had a paving meeting, they had a road meeting. Was
Yeah.
there a separate sidewalk meeting?
That I don't know.
And then are you proposing going forward to have a complete meeting? Sidewalk, road, everybody's in the same meeting, talking about the same thing
Has to be.
at the same, okay, that's,
That's what complete streets is.
yeah, because we haven't seen any, I haven't seen any sidewalk work done, but, I mean, I could be, may not be the time of year doing it, it could be
No,
fall.
because
It could be
they-
fall,
I
but.
think-
No,
Around-
they're just
around-
coming into town.
Yeah.
They're gonna be coming into town maybe next week,
Okay.
according to what, Gene Salvatore, sidewalk inspector, said.
Oh, okay.
that West Coast coming in.
So they'll be starting off from those apartments, right? Century Hills, remember that sidewalk?
That phase 2.
Oh,
yeah,
that's phase two? Okay.
will be- yeah.
Phase 1 is this,
You have Century Hills phase 1 and phase 2.
okay,
Then you also have, you have the Elm Street sidewalk.
Yep.
That's, I guess, going out,
Yep.
and then that has to go to DOT, and then you have Glastonbury Avenue as well.
Yes, so
But-
that whole,
How about Hayes Road? Just struggling on Hayes Road. I gotta talk to some people this time.
Talk to Steve.
is it heavily traveled? I mean,
Hayes?
people? I
Both
think
sides of the
And
street,
then
all
you
the
have
time.
the crest in the road, which is bad,
Mm.
so,
And manure,
what?
and manure.
They haven't assigned me that yet.
Nice.
Either that or I get all of it, so, but.
Complete street.
But,
All right, so that was a good update
So
on
that's-
Complete Street. How about item 5, Sustainable Connecticut?
wish I
Rocky
could
Hill.
help you on this one. They haven't had a meeting in a while. Their
Mhm.
next meeting is 6/24, it's my understanding. As part of Sustainable CT though, one of the tasks is the community resiliency,
Mhm.
which is through the Nature Conservancy. And that's this file, it's this folder.
Is there an application, Nature Conservancy?
It's, what it is they do the, they look at our town's POCD,
Mhm.
and they look at our hazard mitigation
Yep.
plan for the town, which I've sent them that as well. And they're going to, we have a core team of people involved, and it was the town manager, myself, as I represent planning and zoning and EMS. And then we have the emergency management director, who also happens to be the fire chief as well.
Mhm.
Joe Lentini for Public Works, and Steve Sokolak for Community Development, with Jason Scott in Engineering. So that's the core team. And then you branch out from the core team, there's going to be a workshop, and there's gonna be like 20 to 24 invitees that are like a cross-section of the town.
Yep.
That are going to be invited to a workshop, and what I'm working on now is a date for that workshop, where the Nature Conservancy and Sustainable CT actually run it. And they talk about hazards that, you know, people think are happening in the town. And I know a big thing is going to be flooding.
Mhm.
Mm.
That's been a big issue
Yep.
this year,
Yep.
based upon weather and climate change. We want to take the results from that report and plot that directly into the POCD.
Mhm.
So we're looking forward to that date. I haven't heard back yet from,
So we have a local conservancy, is that?
yeah, but it's
Okay.
with Sustainable CT also,
Okay.
which is, they're out of Eastern Connecticut State University.
Oh, okay.
So, and I've been in touch with Adam Welcher is the individual that we've been in touch with. So we want to get going on that process, so.
So that would be a good addition when we talk about the next POCD.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's in the works. I should get you guys, this is a copy of the pages of our hazard mitigation plan with CROG. I'll get copies to, now I'll go to P and Z. I'll
Yep.
send this on to P and Z, so you have that. Because we sat down, that core group sat down with CROG and updated the hazard mitigation plan.
Mhm.
Do they have a schedule, or they just meet, they set the date at the meeting that are at Sustainable? Do they have a schedule, like, you know, you said affordable housing are aggressive in their schedule, do they have a schedule?
They do have a schedule, but I think due to, I think they had some issues with staff
Hmm,
on that.
that's fine.
As far as, so they're going to,
And they have bylaws, and they have all that stuff?
Cause that's by ordinance, right? Is that by ordinance, sustainable CD?
you know, they were appointed by the council though.
Okay, you're right.
See, this group is appointed by P and Z.
Yep.
This group is not appointed by the council.
Mhm.
So, affordable housing is appointed by the council,
Mhm.
also.
Yep.
So I think if this group were appointed by the council, there may be more consistent attendance, I don't know.
I mean,
But think
we
need
had
to-
good
I
group
think we need
before.
to- I think that's part of number
Yeah, so we
7.
can talk, yeah.
Mhm.
That's part of number 7, but I think.
I was just
we-
curious.
Yeah, so.
All right. Item 6, plan of conservation development.
Okay, the budget is done, the
Mhm.
budget is done, so we had 20,000 next to you last year, and we
Yeah.
have another 30,000.
Nice. So that
now-
should be
Now,
good.
it's a draft, RFQ,
Yep.
so, and I'm sending it out, gonna be sending it out to others, it will go to Planimetrics as one of the standard
Yep.
companies that does it.
How do the monies go forward? How do the monies go forward into the next fiscal? Is it like a fund or something, or is
Oh,
it just?
That's
That's up to
on
them,
my page.
so there's no, like, ordinance fund that this money sits in and for
Not
use
that
for the
I-
POCD?
Not that I'm aware of, but the finance director I know is
Yeah.
aware of it, yeah.
We don't want that 20 to go away, we
I
want.
think it is
No.
earmarked for
Yeah.
Yeah.
POCD.
So it's a carry forward.
Yeah, so we have that going forward, and then we'll,
So that's good.
Okay.
so it's,
So you have
That's gonna be-
RFQ,
I'm working on that too.
okay, all right, so,
Was there pushback, or
No.
do we didn't have to fight for it, so that's a good thing. That's another good thing too.
No, they've been very,
Well, it needs to get done, right?
yeah,
it has to be done because funding and all that stuff is
Mhm.
dependent on, you know.
yeah, the state's coming down on towns that don't
Yeah.
have certain things in place, so.
And we have to make sure our POCD has certain things that state is mandating, so
Yep.
we can
You can
say.
get the money, yeah, you can also get the money going forward.
Yeah, I don't know where you're gonna, we can talk about this, or we could talk about legislation now, I don't know.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we have other item, which is listed as committee membership existing and proposed, so
Yeah,
maybe we can
and,
talk about that.
and the role of PIT going forward in light of the fact we're going to be entering a new process. This is implementation, so do we want to suspend this group? Because I'm seeing P and Z members here, which is
Yep.
great. You're the people that should be here, but, do we want to suspend this group while that group, P and Z, does the POCD, and then,
What's the timetable on that? Like, when does P and Z start the process? Is it like
hopefully
in the next couple of meetings? Okay.
Hopefully in.
And our next meeting is what? Gauging it? Like, should we have one final
We have
one?
quarterly. we
Quarterly
have.
meeting, so right now it's June, so technically, probably September, probably.
When the other thing will start.
Yeah.
Probably.
So I'm wondering if we have one of these, one last one.
Yep.
And get the peeps here, one last chance, let's talk about things, and then.
And until such time as.
Until, yeah, we had our chance, we had one last
Yep.
chance, we're gonna start in the fall. It's one of those,
And then-
the last chance meeting type of thing.
Right, and from here, we take on to POCD, whatever we discussed here.
Whatever we talked
for
about.
All these
Yes.
times, yep.
I think one last meeting is,
Yep.
what is it, we meet the first week in September, and then P and Z meets the third week in September, right? So technically, we
Yep.
can, they can both happen at the same time. That's what I would think, that way it's.
Yeah, everybody
First
gets
of all, it looks like,
opportunity, yep.
it's the optics, there's two P and Z guys saying, we don't want this meeting anymore
Right.
here, so we want someone else to come. And then secondly, we're
Yep.
creating the date, because we have to.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
But as far as membership goes, everybody had new appointees. All the commissions had different appointees this past year. So now's the time to get people interested, and maybe those people would attend the P and Z meetings when we discuss the
Mhm.
POCD.
yep. I mean, do you know, we had a lot of members before, Have you talked to them why they are not interested, or, because I don't think like we said no to anybody, I mean, people, you know,
Well,
we are
technically,
open to,
should you just go to the chairs of the commissions and say, who's your, this was your person, who is
So-
your person, and,
Because we have new committees now.
so I think chairs we can handle, the committees and commissions, and we can handle that. What I'm talking about is.
oh, the other, the ad hoc,
people, the
the ad
public.
hocs, yeah.
We had that
Yeah.
representation,
Now,
but we don't.
Now, I know
so-
that this evening Sandy Kelly said she couldn't.
Yeah, she couldn't, yeah, otherwise she would
Yeah.
have been here.
Yeah, she would have been. And we did have staff people too
Yep.
attending. I would propose that we continue to have staff people attend, but
Mhm.
maybe you want to decide who we want.
Yep. I mean, again, like, so if we are going to sunset this, not sunset, but start this before we start POCD, then we'll have a year and a half of gap. So maybe what we do is, when we start again, we get more aggressive and.
But it would be next.
So, but,
Yeah.
but to that point, are we massaging the plan, and we're putting the implementation of a plan that still should be living, it's a living document? So are we putting on hold the living document and
No.
implementing it?
No, because this is active until we adopt the new one.
Right,
Yes.
So it is living. I think what we are saying is.
no, I get it, I
So-
don't wanna wait 2 years for, like, you know, keep on going, then, you know what I mean? This committee has ebb and flows,
Yes,
you know,
always have.
maximum
Yep.
amount tonight.
Yep.
Maximum amount, you know what I mean?
Yep, yep.
So it's,
But I think what happens is, I mean, having 2 meetings,
Mhm.
you know, it's going to, you know, create problems in terms of, you know, once we have a scope, we are going to focus on that scope,
Mhm,
right? I
yeah.
mean, it will be a little broader, and then as we go,
Yeah.
it will be narrow and then
yeah,
focus.
it's like we did
But
last
if
time.
things
I
come
mean, we
up.
did it without a pick before.
Right,
We put this one in place without a pick.
yep,
So at least
Well, this is-
now we have a pick, and,
But that's implementation.
That's what I mean, yeah.
That's, once you have the document, you're implementing it. I mean, this is still in effect, so
Yeah.
technically, we should still be working.
keep
on
on implementing
that,
it, yeah.
but
I get it.
are we,
You're spinning our wheels, yep.
I think,
Never give up.
but we're not, see, affordable housing.
No, I mean, I think-
PCH, we're-
I think we made huge strides in,
I mean, I think
I do
there
too.
are
I do too.
other committees and, you know, that have been established that are taking on
A lot of-
topics,
yes.
topics
that
that
would
we
have, that would have been
discussed.
done in here,
Right.
yes, you're right.
So I think it's a
You
good
are-
thing that
So
is-
that's-
yeah,
That's where all this meeting has gone.
Right.
They've gone to
right.
different
Which is good.
subsets, and
Yes.
hopefully they come back and report about their
Exactly.
subsets, but.
So I think maybe what we do is, just like this update,
Mhm.
maybe we have chair or vice chair, whoever from affordable housing.
Rather than you
from
do the update,
Complete
they do
Street,
the update.
from this,
Yeah.
and they give us update and say, okay, is there anything that you want pick
Yeah.
to implement or to look at?
And some of the other, like I'm not sure of the name, I can't remember the name of it, the equality one, the inclusion, yeah, you know,
Inclusion, yeah.
those type of,
Right,
September. This is
So
your last
maybe-
chance type of thing.
Okay.
you
maybe
know what I
we
mean?
invite those guys, all
Put
of
an
those.
invite out and
Right.
explain to them, this is the last meeting for a very long time, because we are now going into
But
change.
actually, one of the things we do at the start of the POCD process is I send a memo out to all the boards and commissions,
Mhm.
saying, okay, this is what we're doing, by statute, we need to do X, Y, Z. And this is your opportunity for, you know, what do you wanna see included?
Mhm.
And maybe that's
Is the
where
note,
we invite them to come.
can you send the note out like soon and say?
And maybe do a forum.
And have them put it on their agendas to talk about it, to come to the meeting?
come
Yeah, make
to
it,
it.
make it part of their meeting on their agenda, rather than just an invite to the chairman or whatever it is.
Yes,
What do you mean?
So like, for
Yeah.
example, she's gonna
Yeah.
conform some type of email to
Yep.
say, hey, you know, pick last chance, we're doing, you know,
Yep.
starting in September, and say, on your next affordable housing meeting,
Yep.
can you please put this on your agenda? Even if it's
Yep,
basically a reading of the email again.
yep. So,
Everybody in the meeting hears it, type of thing.
So
And
probably
it's-
tomorrow-
And it's on the, it's
It won't
on,
be
in the
on
minutes.
next- It won't be on that.
so other topics.
They meet every month. They're meeting every month. There's
No,
so
but
much.
tomorrow they're meeting, who's
Yeah.
housing?
Affordable housing, that agenda's set.
No, but under
So,
other,
But you
do
could,
you have any
Well,
other?
you
I'll
could
just
say, I wanna
intro.
put it, I wanna
Yeah, I'll
put it
just
into it, yeah.
intro.
Yeah,
But you know what I'm saying, just get it on their agendas.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't only go on the P and Z agenda, it should go on everybody's agenda.
Yeah.
To basically tell them about September and, hey, what are you gonna do?
And this is what,
Not in there on record to what they're gonna do or what they're not gonna do.
Yep.
I mean, it's,
and we wanna have them also say to you folks, what is it that we want?
exactly, that's what we
yes.
want them to discuss in their committees.
Yeah,
Because then
and then
that-
to bring it back
and
to
that
you
will-
folks and
Yep.
say, okay, this is what we want.
and that will go in the scope that we are working on for
Mhm.
POCD. Because, okay.
I love this.
Item B,
Could we just do this?
We make poop happen.
so, item B, role of PIC in plan of conservation development process. So I think we just discussed that.
Yeah, we just did.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
all these committees, all these
Yeah.
The
PIC,
committees
you know,
have to bring it
should
now. They
Bring
have-
it to
Yeah.
PIC,
Yes.
and then
And
from
then
PIC, we recommend to the
Forward
P
it
and
on
Z
to-
and
because
POCD.
you're here. Cool.
So,
I like it.
so if you can prepare, you know,
Yeah.
if you have the list that they are sending to you
Mhm.
as PIC, and then we can discuss at the P and Z meeting, when we talk about PIC. And so these are some of the ideas
Mhm.
that are coming out from these various, you know, commissions or boards or whatever.
So, just looking at this, technically the commission is the same, right? No.
What do you mean?
Just for educational purposes about the process, at our P and Z meeting, I wonder if there's a educational process, because it's only me and you and Giuseppe. Oh, and Sean Hussey was on it, who did this last time.
Yep.
So maybe just an education to Alan and,
I think Alan was around then too.
yeah, but he's not on this, that's why I was just going by what's on
Oh,
this.
okay.
No, we
I'm
can,
I'm
we can
throwing
talk
it out
about
just to say,
Yeah.
you know, it actually means something when we start talking about this, so.
All right, any other items, you wanted to talk about cost?
Yeah, because I know that, I sat on a webinar about, the Council of Small Towns. I was asked to, sit in on this. And a lot of the legislation may not directly deal with planning and zoning per se.
Mhm.
Education, you know, school construction,
Solar is big.
solar is huge.
On sustainable,
Mhm.
I don't know if if you talk about,
I don't deal with that committee.
okay.
Want to?
Not yet.
Want to?
Yeah.
Because I think, that is one of the topics, like, you know, putting solar on town buildings or open areas that we have, you know,
Yeah.
and being, you know, even if we can, half of the building, we can, you know, provide energy through solar, that's a big deal.
Well, they're talking about school boards are mandated now to do solar feasibility studies.
Mhm.
They're gonna be mandated to do that, so that's part of this. And incentives for renewable energy
Right.
projects. Small town economic assistance programs,
Mhm.
the funding is going up from $500,000 to $1 million.
Oh, nice.
So that's huge for communities.
Mhm.
So that's something we wanna kind of get involved with. The siting council reform,
Mhm.
a lot of things didn't really have a lot of municipal involvement. They're getting towns more involved with their process now, so that's coming down the pipe as well. Climate resiliency, it's interesting, because we're doing this climate
Resiliency,
resiliency
yeah.
stuff, but some of that stuff didn't pass. It's gonna be taken up again in the next
Mhm.
session, but that didn't pass this time around. Solid waste management, they had
Mhm.
some things that, passed, the food scrap program, the town had a pilot program, that
Yeah.
didn't pass this time, but they're gonna bring it up again.
But there is a program that I think 25 people who got those.
I was involved with that too.
Right, so that is ongoing, right? It's,
For
we don't
6
know.
months, 265 pounds.
So I think
Too
we
bad-
should.
my
Too
mind.
bad it costs a lot of money for that stuff, you know? Because if it was, I'm not gonna say free, because we still pay for garbage in the town.
Yep.
But I mean, it's like, John Q. Public is gonna say, well, I gotta pay more.
Yep.
You know, that kind of thing, versus, you know, just like the recycle bin. It's,
Yep.
you got it, you're not paying for it, you got it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think.
You know what I mean? They also, in Weathersfield, they have, yard containers that they
Yeah.
pick up also. I thought that was kinda cool too. That was.
But all that
it's-
costs.
It's a brown
Yeah.
container that you
Yep.
put out, but yeah, it all costs, correct.
So that's coming up. Riparian buffers,
Mhm.
so there's gonna be some, Dave and his
For
wetlands
wetlands
issues
and all
are
that,
gonna
yep.
be having some stuff like
Mhm.
that. Shared services are big.
Yeah,
as far
that is,
as-
I mean, that
And
is a big
that's-
one.
That always should have been big.
I mean,
Totally makes sense.
I don't understand why not, but
I
we're
mean,
not county government, so.
Yeah.
we were discussing, and there was a program
Mhm.
for buying equipment, like, you know, buying like a
Street
fire
sweeper,
truck.
street sweeper.
Or
Yeah,
street
and
sweeper,
everybody
this
can
or
use
that,
it, type of
right.
thing,
Yeah.
So they
It's a
used to
matter
have
of
funding.
scheduling. Yeah, it's a matter of scheduling, but now they're even talking about some personnel issues.
Okay,
Some personnel people to
Share.
actually share amongst communities. And I know in the past, we did that. If like Weathersfield was without a planner for a period of time, I went over there a couple of days a week. And we did, that's what we
imagine,
do.
imagine schools sharing resources and all that stuff.
Yeah, so that's
I mean,
big.
police, fire.
That's big. Pension issues, housing.
Yep.
There's a lot of housing legislation. As far as reporting data to DECD, reporting housing permit data. Under 830G, which is the affordable housing statutes.
Yep.
Allowing municipal zoning regulations, and this is a can, not a must. But if municipal housing regulations allow for middle housing developments as a right, they're talking about duplexes, triplexes, small cluster developments
Mhm.
as a right in residential zones, commercial zones, or mixed-use zones, then it gives you points towards a moratorium against 830G applications, if you wanna do that. Is there a need?
So in lieu of affordable housing on the deed, as long as you grant like a duplex in your neighborhood, that
middle-
counts?
Middle housing.
Is that how?
Yeah. But it gives you points towards a moratorium against 830G applications, because
Mhm.
once again, 830G applications, they come in 30% of the units to be affordable, but the zoning regulations kind of go out the window.
Mhm.
So that's something.
So did that pass? Is that passed?
Yeah.
So-
Some of these things haven't been signed yet,
Okay.
but this will be.
So,
Coming down the pipe.
so all our apartments, like Altera and Elm Street, you know, what
Those
we
are
have.
middle housing.
Yeah,
Huh?
they're not.
Middle housing is, I wanna put up a duplex or a triplex on Solstein Highway. I wanna put up 3 townhouses
Mhm.
connected on Solstein Highway. Well, here, you do it as right, then you may get points, you know, towards a moratorium against 830G. I don't know that 830G is all that bad. I
Mhm.
mean,
Well,
I have my
there's-
own opinion.
There's
I
many
don't-
instances where it's good and there's many instances where it's bad.
Yeah, so, but middle housing, I do think that planning and zoning needs to take a look at. And come up with regulations, because we're getting requests now.
How does that differ from cluster housing that we already have in our regulations? Don't we have cluster housing?
Yeah, that's more of a,
Like in a cul-de-sac, you do cluster or whatever it is, or
Yeah, that's more of the common interest type,
is that what it is?
yeah,
Oh, so like a HOA type thing,
yeah. Versus, we're talking about like,
pocket?
yeah, like infill,
Mhm.
infill duplexes,
Mhm.
you know, on lots, but we're getting those requests now. The conversion of nursing homes to multifamily, that's something
We don't have any nursing homes that,
that are.
Needs
Oh, no, that need, no.
Vacant, but, I mean,
Yeah.
that's something. They're going to be looking at, and it didn't come up this time, but they say it's coming up next time, is a fixed share, you know, this ominous 10% that
Oh, yeah.
municipalities have to have 10% of the units being affordable housing.
so a
Well,
couple of municipalities get together and share.
what they wanna do is say, okay, maybe using the, council of government model,
Mhm.
saying, okay, there's so many towns in, you know, CROG. So, okay, of those 29 towns, each town has to produce X amount of, you know, taking it that way, instead of saying, okay, well, we have 3-acre zoning, we can't do it. And Hartford has done their share. Well, okay, everyone's going to do their share,
Mhm.
fair share approach. So that's gonna probably be taking up next legislation session, so, for discussion again.
But I thought they were sharing, so it means that, say, for example, CROG and Hartford is in CROG, they have 70% affordable housing
Yeah.
versus Rocky Hill has 5. So
We can
some
share.
of
We
that
can
goes
share.
towards Rocky Hill, right? I thought that was the concept, like when they talk about
That
sharing.
I don't know,
No? Okay.
that I don't know,
Okay.
but, it's gonna be taken up again.
Okay.
Blight penalties, they're looking to increase blight penalties,
Mhm.
which I think is great. Short-term rentals, like Airbnb,
Mhm.
municipalities have to create an ordinance, it's by ordinance now. So they're gonna have to create an ordinance on short-term rentals,
Mhm.
how they're gonna deal with it.
They have that in college towns. You have
Yeah.
to get your unit inspected for renting, and you have to be registered, and you cannot, if you have more than certain people, they can evict you, and
Yep.
Yeah, so that's.
Because we have something about Airbnb, like, or we had discussion about that.
we discussed it, I don't think we
We
have
didn't
anything,
put anything
no.
yet.
Didn't put anything in there. But, yeah, short-term rentals. By vote of the legislative bodies to adopt an ordinance regulating the operation and use of short-term rental properties and requiring their licensure. So, so that would be at the town council level.
Mhm.
But I have a feeling that will probably trickle back down to you guys as for a recommendation, you know, from planning and zoning.
Creating the.
Yeah, so creating a draft or whatever. Zoom pass. They talked a lot about, property tax assessments and things like that, which is not really something that we deal with. PA 490 is gonna be a big thing as far as
Oh.
open space land, you
Yep.
know, and how it's.
So what are they recommending, like, because people are taking advantage of 490, to reduce their taxes.
Yeah.
But then, they sell it, they make money and stuff, so it's like, how does that?
Yeah.
you
They're
know?
talking about actually having advisory opinions from, Department of Agricultural stating that the land is farmland or open space land.
It's fine.
So, you know.
Put the onus on them
versus
rather than
just
the
like,
town.
I'm gonna apply for it because I'm, thinking about growing corn or whatever it is. And now it's gonna be, you need some accountability. So I don't think that's a problem.
No, but, so I think it's, the issue is like, even if it's agriculture land, for example, and then they say, yes, it's agriculture land, qualifies 490, so lower taxes, whatever. But then nobody is producing anything, even though it's agriculture land, nothing is happening there, right?
But then that, I think this goes to that.
Okay, so
Yeah,
that,
I think
so
kinda-
that to
kinda
require
catches it.
them
Yeah.
to
I think
produce
that kinda
things,
catches it.
make it active.
That's a good thing. And then there's one of the ordinances we're looking to revise is our noise ordinance, and one of the things that they did with public safety is allows municipalities to authorize use of noise cameras to have the police enforce, you know, the cars with the mufflers or the
Yep.
motorcycles with the
They have that in Hartford, don't they?
bizarre mufflers, so,
Red light cameras. and-
but it allows them to, it's not a given.
Yep.
So we want to modify a slew of ordinances, and the noise ordinance is certainly one of them. Where's the ordinance thing? We want to, housing standard ordinance, the fines are now increased, so we want to modify that. We have issues with shopping carts being left. Aldi's shopping carts are being left, and Walmart and Stop and Shop shopping carts are being left off-site. So we're finding some communities do have some ordinances on the books about shopping carts. So we're going to take a look at those and see if we can create that.
But it's how is it implemented, right? I mean, it's,
That's the
I mean,
biggest
that's the
problem.
biggest thing. It's like, we have all these ordinances, we have blighting ordinance, these, that, right? But then nothing happens. I mean, there are examples that we can give where people are storing stuff and we call them.
Our sidewalk ordinance, we have to work on that, don't we?
Sidewalks on there too, sidewalks, roads, peddling, soliciting, parades, yeah.
Everybody loves a parade.
Parades, housing standards, that goes with the fines, we have to update that.
Pension fund for P and Z members.
P and Z pension fund, yes, I definitely like that. Sidewalk, about modifications, and then we want to look at our modifications. We have issues with animal waste in town, we have to modify that,
I can see that.
yeah. And then multifamily dwellings, so vehicles and traffic on certain roads. We found
How
out.
about parking on roads? How about,
Well, we found out that certain streets in town have no through trucks designations on them by town ordinance, but OSTA is in charge of that. And many of these streets never went through OSTA, so we have
like
to,
Capitol Boulevard?
which makes no sense to me.
Yes.
That
'Cause
one makes no sense.
That was actually one of the things that I wanted to bring up about how traffic circulates around town, like
That makes no sense.
the big Y, the non-road between West and and Elm, that was never finished by Big Y. You know how much that would save on Route 3 and going down Capitol Boulevard rather than going through all those roads to,
Yeah.
and, you know, do some modifications so no,
Because-
you can't go down the residential part of Brook Street, but take the load off all those intersections on Route 3 and all that crazy stuff, even though that is a state road and they're doing it, but,
Yeah.
you know, traffic flow.
Yeah, so, it came up again with, someone complaining about, and I'm glad it did, because some of the signs that are up, we're not allowed to put up, but they're up. So let's do it the right way.
That came
and
out
get-
when we talked about, when Henkel was asking for the no parking signs, remember all that
Yep.
came up?
Yep, so we're going to say, okay, we want to apply that for OSTA for certain things, the Brook Street, that east end of Brook Street, Dividend Road, there's a certain area in Dividend Road, so we want to apply for those with
Mhm.
OSTA, but then others, we wanted like, why? Why, I mean, Capitol and Henkel should allow for truck traffic going through.
Yeah, it's a 2-lane road.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things going on right now.
All right, so I think it was a good meeting.
Productive. On that note, motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.